Hey, this is Tony Gaskins. You're checking out Thisis50.com.
What up, guys? This is RoseD. Thisis50.com. I am here with the phenomenal Tony Gaskins. He is a life coach, aka the Love Doctor. You like that?
Yeah, I like that.
The Love Doctor?
I like that.
How did this whole thing start? Like, what made you just want to speak to people and give them the great inspirational advice that you have that je ne sais quoi about you. Like, when you speak, it draws people in. How did you get there?
I felt like I was pushed into purpose, like it was something that I had to do. I didn't grow up dreaming of being a motivational speaker. I made all the mistakes. I learned the lessons from it, and I felt like it was my obligation to teach. So I think that's why I come from a very genuine place, when I'm talking, because it's just from the heart. It's not something that I dreamed up. It's not something that I studied. It's not a skill that I took the time to learn and try to master and emulate someone else. I'm authentically me.
Who was the first person you spoke to?
Bethune-Cookman University.
Wow.
I was
So you
I was
just
22.
dove right in.
Yeah, I was 22. I had just published my first book. I had just become a writer like 2 weeks
So
before.
this was, wow.
It was kind of like, that feeling that you have, like this is what you got to do. I was a huge player, and I messed over a lot of women. I broke a lot of hearts.
All right, let's talk about that. Wait a minute. So that was basically the first inspiration, is what you're saying.
Right, yeah.
So you were like a pimp.
It was kind of like, it was like I was righting my wrongs. I made all the mistakes.
At 22?
Yeah. I was ready to get out of the
Jeez,
game.
what'd you do? So how old were you when you first went on your first date?
When I lost my virginity, I was 15. And so that was 9th grade. And I just went, wow.
It's those eyes, right? They get them.
I don't know. I just, I was intrigued, by the ladies. And I like talking to ladies and getting to know them. And I just thought, going all the way is what you're supposed to do. I didn't want to sleep with females who were super easy.
You didn't just have sex to have sex.
Right.
Okay.
It was more so like, the icing on the cake. In my heart, I was looking for a wife.
In your heart.
From the age of 16.
But down there was a little different story.
Well, really what it was is I didn't know how to look for a wife. So my only thing was to let me put the pressure on her and see if she loves and respects herself.
Oh, wow.
She may be thinking of it like, well, I can do this because this is what I want to do. I want to have sex with him, but I'm judging it like you don't love yourself, or
even at that age, at the tender age of 19, 15, like 15 through 19?
Yeah.
That's what you were thinking, or is that what you
That's
think
what I'm
now
thinking.
that
I
you
was
were
thinking like it's too easy. And this is, to a man, your most prized possession.
You were 22 when you finally came to the realization that you wanted to make your wrongs right.
21.
21?
Yeah.
Jeez. So you were mature. You had to be mature. Like, that's kind of stuff, that's not a normal 21-year-old. And even from 15 through 19, that's just not a normal boy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I had a father in the home, and he talked to me a lot. I can't remember much of what he said, but I imagine in that moment, it was impacting my life. Although I was 15, 20, I thought 20 years ahead of myself because my father was 20 years older than me, and he always spoke to me and talked to me from his level of wisdom. I'm 31, but in my seminars, it's men and women, 50s and 60s, coming and paying for a ticket to hear me teach, and they're learning. My oldest client is 68.
When you first were in front of people, how did you start off the speech?
I read off a piece of paper. And so I had a piece of paper and I had some notes on there. And I just would look at the first line and it would say like, you gotta respect yourself. Then I would say, you have to respect yourself. And this is why, and I would tell a little story. And then I would go to the next line. And so my first speech was like 15, 20 minutes. And my dad, he helped me kind of craft it because he was a pastor.
So you mentioned respect. I saw in one of your YouTube videos you have a rule, the 90-day rule. Tell me about that.
Well, I call it a 3-month rule, and I published it in 2007. Steve Harvey called it the 90-day rule, and he made it famous in his book.
So did he bite off for you?
2 years later, I don't know.
No, so no, okay, let's scratch that. It's the 3-month rule, not the 90-day rule, the 3-month rule. Sorry about that.
Yeah, it could just been a coincidence, but
That's a big coincidence.
But what it means is that at that 3-month mark, every 3 months, you should evaluate the person you're dealing with, because you are the CEO of your life. And then you decide whether you're going to promote, demote, or terminate. But when it became famous through Steve Harvey, people took it as on day 91,
they could give it up.
You could give it up. And that's not what I meant by it. But we've taken and we do it our way. And I think that's why our divorce rate is so high. That's why a lot of our relationships don't make it to marriage. And we having babies, we don't even have a ring. We don't even have a lifetime commitment, but yet we're bringing a child into the world. And so I say, go back to the way the Creator intended it to be. Not everybody is for you. So if you meet somebody and they can't give you what you're worth, they're not the one.
You mentioned marriage. What do you think it takes for a girl to be wifey material to get that ring?
You gotta know what you want from a relationship. You gotta know what you bring to the table. And you have to know what you're unwilling to compromise. A relationship is two whole individuals who come together and complement one another. What's happening is we got two half-empty individuals coming together trying to fill one another up. But if you pour your half into me, I'm full and you empty. If I pour my half into you, then I'm empty and you full.
So it needs to be balanced.
It needs to be balanced. You come together, and you're not coming together to complete one another. You're coming together to complement one another.
Name the first 3 things the top 3 things that you would want a woman to have.
First, I would want her to have confidence, ambition, morals, and those can all be, or standards, those can all be interchanged. If I'm gonna marry a woman like my wife, and I'm going on 8 years of marriage, and I've been married since I was 23, she had what I call the 3 B's: brain, brand, and body. She knew what she wanted. She was in school to be a doctor. So that was her brand. That was also her brain. Also in her brain, she knew what she was unwilling to settle for. You gotta focus on, you have to look yourself in the mirror, and you gotta make your weak points your strong points. And you have to seek to understand, then be understood.
So, celebrity clients. Talk to me about someone who you have how you don't have a non-disclosure for.
Well, I mean, some people see me on K. Michelle's show, coaching her.
That sounds a little, you know, K. Michelle sounds a little difficult.
Some people see me on Tiffany Cambridge show with the game.
That didn't work out.
Some people have seen, I wasn't coaching her to stay.
Oh, okay, you told her to leave.
Yeah, so it did work out. Some people see me on the articles with Evelyn Lozada.
That's the marriage, right? You guys, they got married, right?
Yeah, she's engaged.
Oh, they're not married yet? Oh, okay. She had his baby though, right? Okay.
She's engaged, but I coach her after the incident with Chad.
What's that process? So you meet with them, do you just listen? Do you ask them questions? Can you you just gauge it?
It's a lot of listening. It is individual coaching. I take my depth of understanding and shed light into their life based on having gotten it right. So I'm able to speak life into their situation. So I'm kind of teaching them how to get from where they are to where they want to be. And sometimes that means splitting up. A true artist, they're not really, none of them are really ideal relationship material. Because it's almost like, you know how they say art imitates life?
Right.
It's almost like they date to make music. It's almost like they
inspiration?
live to be inspired for a song. And so because that's their main 100% focus, it's hard to step away from that grind and from that hustle and be focused on a relationship, because a relationship is a job. You cheat first in your mind, and then it rolls off your tongue. And then you take action. I don't even masturbate.
Why is that?
99% of men masturbate.
Why don't you? Because it's like a self-discipline type
because
thing?
it's self-discipline, but it's also lust.
So I took to Twitter and I asked, I asked a couple people, my friends actually, because I knew they were gonna have questions. And one of my friends' questions was, she was in a relationship for about 2 years. out of nowhere, the dude just stops talking to her, yo. But he was in the military, so he suffers from like, you know, postpartum depression and stuff like that. And they spoke, she reached out to him and they finally spoke. He said it was that. Again, should she pursue it or should she just take it as a L and keep it moving?
I wouldn't pursue it. My rule on life is never hit rewind, because if you go backwards, then you're gonna go through the same thing that you've already went through.
Okay, second situation was, this guy doesn't really even know this girl, right? But she's always around him and she likes him. They kind of caught eye contact a couple times. She's a good Christian girl, she's very sweet, but it's like she's so introverted. You have to understand too, he's in the NBA. And I told her no, because no basketball players, no football players, no rappers, that's it, no.
Well, first, you can't judge them. You can't judge them because of their profession. And you can't put all of them in a box, because
True.
There are faithful NBA players. If a man doesn't approach you, he's either already taken and trying not to cheat, or he's seen you and he doesn't want you. If a man isn't confident enough to approach you, he's not man enough to lead a household, because you have to have the confidence to be able to make life decisions for your household.
Tell me, who am I?
To me, you like a Eminem. You know, hard on the outside, soft on the inside.
I got that before.
And I don't believe, you know, what you say about you wouldn't give up your job and things like that. I think that's a shell, that's a wall that you put up from past pain. You love what you do, and this job is loving you more than any other man has loved you, and you love your purpose more than that. I feel like that if you met the right man and you had the right love, he could show you that your job is wherever you at, even if you in Des Moines, Iowa. Me personally, you look like a wife, so I don't understand why you're not married.
Everybody always says that to me.
But it
What
could.
does a wife look like?
Motherly, nurturing, you know, caring. You got a round face, so it looks like you're trustworthy. You don't look like you'll cut somebody in their sleep. You look like you'll cook. You look like you'll clean. You look like you'll be great in bed. You look like...
Damn, you got all that by looking at me?
Yeah, but you also look no nonsense. And I think up here in the concrete jungle, that intimidates men.
So tell me about the Evelyn Lozada thing.
One thing I learned about her from coaching that I haven't experienced with really no client is she listened to everything. She was open to change. And she said, Tony, I'm gonna trust you with my life.
Where can we find you at, Tony? What do you have going on? What city are you gonna be at next? Give us your plugs.
TonyGaskins.com, going around the country, around the world with the Real Love Tour. Realest tour on love, known to man. My Twitter at Tony Gaskins, Instagram at Tony Gaskins, YouTube, Facebook.
Nice.
Tony Gaskins.
Leave us with one of your inspiring quotes.
If you don't love yourself, someone will come in your life and teach you how to hate yourself. Then you will confuse the two.
Nice. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
She about to go in.